Hello everybody, this is WS6Man96 here on this gorgeous May Day. I have a special video for a lot of you out there who have been requesting it. This is the video of the DR250. I did a review or work commute on my DR350, but this is the identical year, 1994, but the DR250. So here it is. I picked this up for roughly $1,100. I've done a number of things to get it back to roadworthy state. This is my wife's bike, and I found it locally, and it's in pretty decent shape. So let's get it fired up and take it out on the road, and a little bit of dirt too, and then I'll stop and we'll kind of cover some of the things aesthetically that you might see on the 250 versus the 350. So let's get it started up here. It is a little bit cold-blooded. It has the choke right here, if you can see. This still has the original, it's vacuum petcock on these. On my 350, I had to change over from the vacuum style petcock because it was leaking. This one isn't leaking yet, so I'm gonna leave it because why make more work for myself? If it's not broke, don't fix it. All right, a little bit of highway here. We're gonna zoom up to cruising speed. There's 40. There's 50. This is a 6-speed. So there's 6 gear, 55, 6,000 RPMs. This RPM gauge could be slightly off. Actually, honestly, I don't think it was working when we put this away for the winter. I'm going to make a left-hand curve here, get off onto a more enjoyable route where I can kind of walk you through this thing. What can I tell you about this? Well, a lot of you were asking me to compare this, pushing in the choke, to my DR350. What can I tell you in comparison? Well, first and foremost is the gearing. I did not change my stock gearing on the DR350, and as far as I know, this 250 is stock gearing as well. And so the DR350 is geared way higher in first gear. It's not actually that enjoyable to ride it on tight technical trails. I had it out on some tight technical trails, and I'm like, ugh, I would rather have this DR250. The first gear is a lot lower on this. So if I was going to take it off-road in stock form, I would take this 250. As far as seat height and all of the actual specifications on the bikes, they are pretty much identical. There might be a few things, and some of you might really know a lot of the minuscule details that would be different, and feel free to post that. But as far as I know, they are practically the same. I have both of them from the same year, and looking at them, other than the plastics, with the graphic on it that tells you that it's a 250 or 350, I wouldn't really be able to tell. Now, some of the things that are different that you're able to change that I noticed immediately on the 250 was someone had changed the spring preload. So this is a lot softer, and it actually works in my wife's favor because she's not as tall as me. She's about 5'7" or so. She still does just fine on this. But the preload and the springs are a little softer on this. So when I am off-roading on this, I wish I had the 350. If I'm like putting it through, some, rougher terrain, if I'm like, hitting some jumps or something, I want the 350. But for her, it's set up well for her. So I'm just gonna leave it. As you can see, I'm just kind of, poking along on this trail. This thing is super just comfy to ride and easy. Everything is right where you need it. You know, high and low beam light still works. If you saw that on the dash, you know, your turn signals, you know, all those still work. Amazing for a 1994. That's why I bought this. It was in slightly sickly shape, but it was all there and it ran fine. This example has 8,327 miles on it. When I bought it, it had like roughly 7,000. Ooh, the tree down here today. And actually, interestingly enough, my dual sport that I bought, when I bought it, it had about 7,000 miles on it. So very low mileage examples, in my opinion, on these DRs. Of course, on your right hand side you have the electric start. In 1993 they were still kickstart, so in 1994 they were electric start, and pretty much everything stayed the same until 1999, and then they discontinued these. So I've heard a lot about the DR250 being one of the best all-around dual sports, and I would have to agree. On the highway, this 250 is a little buzzy. Can it do 60, 65? Yeah, it can do 70. I'm pretty sure I've even had this thing up to 80. Now, would you want to cruise at 80 on this thing? No, but it will get up there and do it, which is impressive for a 250, air-cooled. You know, this isn't liquid-cooled. That's why I wanted these two, because they're like a tractor. You know, they just are super reliable. They're really smooth. Of course, with being this suspension is a little softer, you know, going down this gravel road, it's really compliant and nice to ride. You kind of get lost in the gearing a little bit on these. I actually, to be honest, I don't know if I'm in 4th right now. I think I am 4th or 5th. I'm just cruising along. We've had this for about 2 years now. She had a DR200, and it just wasn't enough. It just couldn't really keep up on the road, and it was a starter for her, and she did really well on it. And so I sold it, bought this, had money left over, and was able to change some things on this that needed changed. So I'll get down to where I'm wanting to stop to kind of walk you through some of the things that I had to change on this, and some things that might be kind of helpful for you. Okay, so 1994 DR250 SE, sometimes they call these the Street Edition. It might be, you know, stood for something else, but I'll call it that for right now. So here it is. Excuse the pump noise, but I like the covered bridge in the background. So let's take a look at this, and let me talk you through some of the things that are different about this that I had to change. So first and foremost, when we bought this, the original bars were bent. I tried to straighten them with a little success, so I decided to go get a set of rental bars. My DR350 had a set just like this, and I wanted something that looked factory. I'm a factory guy. I like OEM stuff. I like it to look like it would have looked back in the day. So I got these bars, put them on, put new grips on them, got a new throttle tube, and then I also changed the throttle cable. Tires are what came on it. What else? I didn't really do much more. I did put a new chain on it because it was old and crusty. It was probably original from 1994, so it was due time for it. As you can see, this is missing the original pegs. A lot of guys say to take those off because if you put it down by accident, you can actually snap this frame. And a little tidbit on anybody looking for DRs, they always say, look down here at your frame because the oil does run through the frame. And nothing's done with the exhaust. Like I showed you on my DR350, someone did take the baffling out. They actually did a really nice job. They cut it right here, removed the baffling, and then welded it back on. Sounds really good, but from what I've heard, it messes with the jetting. And mine is a little goofy sometimes riding it. As you could see from the gauges, my mileage, you know, you have your speedometer and your tachometer, and they work great when they work. I've never had trouble with the speedometer, and that reminds me, I did change the front cable for the speedometer. So I did put a new cable on for that, routed it up, and connected it up. You have to take this whole little fairing off and then feed it up in. It was pretty easy. Haven't changed the brakes or anything like that. Cool thing on these two, they have Zerk fittings on them, DR250, DR350, and I'm sure the 650 has it too. So to check the oil on this, it's pretty interesting. You stand the bike straight up, let it sit for a little while. Here you can see SAE 10W40, and you just simply unscrew this, pull it out, take a look, and you can see it's up there on the stick. It's always a little tricky getting it seated right, but I think I got it. That's really all that we've done to it. It still has the tool pack with it. Rims are still good. I mean, look at that. They held up really well, 1994 to now. So like I said, $1,100. I think I did fairly well. You can see a lot of the, here's your oil level, how much oil to put in there in milliliters. All my original, graphics are still on it. Warning labels, I love that. Some people like to take all that stuff off. So, they wear off eventually, but it's nice to have them on there, I think. Thank you everybody for coming along for the ride and checking out this DR250. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Would you like me to do a back-to-back riding comparison somehow? Please like, comment, and subscribe if you can. I'm really hoping to get to that 1,000 subscriber mark and more. I'll be doing some drone footage and hopefully getting a lot more videos out for everybody. I have a lot of ideas coming down. I've done some parts installs, so be looking out for all that stuff. And we just really thank you for checking out the channel, and really look forward to seeing everyone back out on the road.